Just a few days ago, I was spending some time out by my mom's house. There's a rather large lake there, and I saw a very large fish. And I thought to myself, how cool would it be to have a drone to fly over this lake to look down and see what sorts of fish and so forth you could spot that way. Granted, the glare probably won't really work that well at all, but in my mind, I thought this sounds like a fun idea. At that point, I went to Twitter and I started asking around, what is a good starter drone for someone like me who has never flown a drone before to try? I don't want something super expensive or super complicated because I might just fly it directly into a tree. I want something relatively basic, easy to get started with. I got a few good suggestions, and through that, I got in touch with a little company called Holy Stone, and they agreed to send me this bad boy here, the Holy Stone HS440, which can be had right now on Amazon for $99. In this video, we are going to unbox the HS440 and then hopefully determine if it is indeed good for the money and also good for beginners or children, which I guess I might also qualify as in terms of my drone abilities. Guys, let's jump into that unboxing first. Alright, so the Holy Stone HS440 2.4 gigahertz. Guys, I must stress this, I am a total novice with this stuff. So, that's interesting to me. This thing basically communicates with Wi-Fi, from what I can tell. HD camera, circle, fly. I guess that means there's perhaps like a button you hit and it like flies in a circle. That might be like a neat feature. Hopefully that is indeed what that means. And it looks like inside we have like a little carrying case, which is pretty cool. That means this thing is quite portable. Obviously, it is very, very small, easy to bring with you, and then hopefully get up in the air and do some flying around. What is in this area first? Looks like some extra fan blades, a little screwdriver, and maybe this is to charge the battery pack. And then there are, I'm assuming, instructions, which I'm definitely going to need. And some caution stuff, don't charge it in the carrying case. Got it, won't do that. And then, of course, some delicious silica. Just kidding, don't eat that. All right, so we have a controller with, it looks like, some stuff on here to tell us how it works. I think this is on wrong because it says take photo, but there's no button there. But there is a button up here with a camera icon on it. So we're going to flip it around. We're going to assume this is the way that it actually goes. Take photo, record video, ascend and descend, rotate left, right, forward, backward, lean left and right. That's going to take some time. I've not played a lot of like flight simi games, so this is going to take some getting used to. Takeoff and landing, and then emergency stop. That's cool, so it does that automatically. High-speed rotation and circle fly. And then there's a couple more buttons. Speed switch and power switch, which I guess are underneath that. And I'm assuming you stick a phone in here, and that's kind of your screen. This feels very, very light. I'm assuming that's because, yep, I need to put batteries in it. Okay, we'll set that aside, and let's look at the drone itself, which I don't really know what the best place to grab it. I guess from the sides. Oh, there's the battery, which is slid out the back. This thing is very, very small. And I guess these things just sort of extend. Oh, I see. So they extend out. I'm assuming you want to do these first. And then these. And then boom, you're up in the air. You're flying. We got our camera up here, which does appear like it's probably going to be stabilized in to some degree. And then here is our battery pack. And there's a bit of foam on there, which I bet was there to keep it from making a connection. Yes, it was. So we need to remove that bit of foam. And then pop it in. There's your power button on the bottom. Okay. I mean, that's all pretty straightforward. As for the charging process, the little prongs are all the way up there. So, and it looks like there's little holes that are sized particular way so that you can't get it wrong conceivably. So going through the instructions here, eventually you land on this page here where you can scan this QR code and then get this application here, the Holy Stone FPV application. So we're going to go ahead and install that and see if we can get this thing set up. Okay, I'm assuming enter device is where we need to go. No. Oh, I see. Read further. Connect your phone to the Wi-Fi network created by the drone. Make sure to turn on Bluetooth, mobile data, and VPN. Enter your phone's Wi-Fi. Interesting. The Wi-Fi network. After wait for a couple seconds, so connect to the Wi-Fi. Enter the application. Okay, so I got to actually turn it on and connect to that Wi-Fi first. So let's pop the battery in there the right side up. That's a good way to do it. And then I'm betting this is a press and hold type situation. You have a red light now. So I'm going to set it down. And there we go. We are connected to that Wi-Fi network. If we go back into the app and enter device, looky there, guys. It's a rather meta situation. A camera looking at a camera, looking at a phone. Come on, we are connected. And I think that means we're getting close to time to do a test flight. I guess all that's left to do is to put my giant phone in here. My phone literally will not fit in there with this case on. This is a Pixel 7 Pro, and it is too big. So the case is coming off, guys. That is something to keep in mind. Big phones are potentially a problem. There we go, though. We are in there with no case. It's also a little floppy, a little bit floppy, but I think we're going to be okay. So I think it's time for a test flight. And upon attempting that test flight, I discovered that there were several things still that I needed to do. So the pairing process is pretty simple. You're going to hit the power button on the bottom of the drone, which is down here. It'll start flashing red. And then on the controller, you'll hit the power button, and these LEDs will also begin flashing. At this point, they want you to set the drone down kind of facing towards you. And then on your controller, press the stick up and then down. You'll hear 2 beeps, and it is then paired. On the next screen, you can calibrate the gyroscope. And they say you should do this between flights and also if there's been any kind of a wreck. So once you've done the process of pairing them, you'll just hit both sticks down and to the right. And then to actually begin flying, you have to unlock the motors by pressing both sticks down and to the inside. That will make the propellers actually start spinning. From there, you can either use the stick up to ascend or use that automatic takeoff / landing button. All right, so we're gonna do our first test flight. I'm just gonna set it on the grass here. I think that that's probably gonna be okay. And you have to hit the joysticks, both joysticks in at an angle to unlock the motor.
Set on grass.
Okay. We've had our first wreck. Flight number 2, we're learning things. Let's not take off in the grass where we're acting as a lawnmower. We're gonna take off from this rock. I'm gonna try my best to just kind of hover. This is a very lightweight drone, and it doesn't have the ability to lock itself in place. You have to do it yourself, and this is a relatively small area. Let's try this again. Okay, we're doing better. So after this, I decided to take the thing up really high where the camera couldn't necessarily see. I was kind of keeping it in a relatively small area. I'm learning the controls. There were some breezes blowing that were really making the thing kind of jog over across into the neighbor's yard. I'm fighting back against it, and then my battery died and it came falling to the ground. I'm pretty sure there probably was something on the screen to tell me this, but I was finding that rather than watching the screen, watching the drone was a far easier thing for me to do because the screen is a little bit blurry and it's also a little bit delayed. So what we're doing now is we're going to charge the thing up and maybe go give it another test with a full battery. All right, so this time we're going to try to get a little bit more elevation. We've got my lovely assistant here, my wife Jessie, acting as the camera person instead of a tripod. So hopefully we can kind of track this in the sky a bit better. We're going to unlock our motors and we're going to take off. Let's see. We're going to have to go into high mode because that is not enough. Okay, there we go. The breeze is too strong. Bring it back a little bit here. And let's see if I can, yeah, the breeze is strong. Let's see if I can take some pictures here. And actually, I've got a prompt here, so I may need to land so I can give this app storage permission for me to shoot video. So let's see if I can bring it back. So we actually ended up having to charge the battery overnight. So this is the following day. As you can see, this was not just a strange wardrobe change. It is in fact the next day. So now we've got the permission set up. We're gonna try to get up in the air. I'm gonna film a bit from here so you can kind of see what's going on, and I'm gonna capture the screen. You get to see exactly what this experience is like and what the final result, the filming from it, we can actually take a video what that's like as well. We're gonna hit the button here, press and hold. So we are now filming, and let's get up in the air. I've gotten much better. This is also a much less windy day, so we're having a much better time just controlling it. So let's try and get up in the air pretty high. Trying to get a view of the horizon. Let's see how close we can get to this big tree over here. Now I'm going to see if I can actually angle the camera down and get a view of the dog trying to attack it. So now I'm aiming directly down. Let's actually go up. Yep, a little bit of a breeze hitting. A little bit of a breeze. A little bit of a breeze. Did you hear the dog? Okay, so now because I don't want to park it where the dogs are and risk it being attacked by a dog, I'm going to set it down outside the fence. I'm going to try using the automatic landing function once I get relatively low. Well, and it made it over the fence. Oh well. Now, after doing several flights, I've discovered an SD card slot on the bottom, which I'm hoping will improve the video quality filming from this thing a bit further. So I'm going to pop in an SD card and go for one more flight here. So as you can see here with the SD card installed, and it's actually saving to the card instead of going wirelessly to your phone and saving there are some definite improvements. I think that the video looks a bit clearer and a bit sharper. You're still getting some of the same problems though, like some of the bright areas being blown out a little bit, but you're also not getting those times where the thing kind of stutters, where you lose a bit of connectivity and the frame freezes for a couple of seconds at a time. This seems to be a much smoother, much better way to do this. I'll also point out that I filmed a couple of videos for a couple of minutes on a 32 gig card, and it took up like almost no space at all. A video of almost 3 minutes only took up about 84 megabytes. So grab yourself a cheap SD card, pop that in. You're going to want to film to that for sure. So as you can see, my biggest issues have probably come with landing the drone, but I don't think that that's the drone's fault. I think it's primarily the fault of two things. One, my dogs are absolutely obsessed with the thing and want to snatch it out of the air, and that makes for a problematic situation. Two, the yard's fenced in. It's not a huge area, and I'm trying to like land it outside the fence or something like that. If you're in a bigger open area, landing the thing should be absolutely no trouble at all. Just maybe don't do what I'm doing and try to do it around your dogs. The other biggest thing that I'm noticing is the fact that with any kind of a breeze at all, a breeze you might not hardly even feel on the ground, 15, 20, 30, 50 feet in the air, that breeze is strong enough to absolutely carry that little drone away. You're going to have to make sure, I would advise you to have it on the high speed control mode, because if you have any kind of a breeze at all, you're going to need that mode to be fighting back against that breeze. If you don't have it on, your drone may just get carried off by the wind and you may never find it again. I do find it a bit difficult to keep it in a stationary location. Of course, more expensive drones, I believe, have the ability to like lock themselves into a spot. You're not going to get that with a drone at this price. As far as the actual camera footage, it's about what you would expect for a drone of this price. One of the reasons I wanted a drone was because I am a big weather nerd and I would want to get it up in the air and see storms rolling in. Well, the problem with this is, and I think you can see this from the footage, it's the fact that the sky tends to get very, very blown out. So unless those storm clouds rolling in are quite dark, maybe then you'd have a shot at it. But the footage is going to be a bit grainy, and anything bright is going to be very majorly blown out. If you want a camera just to be able to see is something there or not, you're going to be able to do that. But are you going to be shooting video clips that you're going to want to, pull off of your phone and post somewhere and say, well, look how beautiful? No, you're not really going to be doing that. But again, it's a relatively inexpensive drone. This should not be altogether surprising. It is rated for about 20 minutes of flight time. I would suggest when you get the thing, leave it plugged in until it is fully charged. You're going to have a much better time if you do that instead of what I did, where you let it charge for a little while and try to fly and it goes dead. That's definitely not an intelligent thing to do. So let it fully charge. The light will turn green on the charging cable when that is done. You're also going to want to make sure that you are doing the calibration of the gyroscope between flights. That definitely does make a bit of a difference in the ease of actually controlling the thing and keeping it stable. I'll also say I'm fairly impressed with the durability of the thing because, as you've seen, I have crashed it on multiple occasions already, and it's holding up relatively well. In fact, it's holding up fine. It's a little bit dirty in a couple of spots now from that last stumble, but it still flies exactly the same as it did before, so great job on that. Overall, I think as a drone for beginners, getting this thing as cheap as $99, there's even a 10% coupon, so $90. I think this is a pretty decent place to start. You're going to be able to learn how to do these things, how to fly this thing around. There are some interesting functions I've not actually mentioned, like circle fly. You press and it basically just does this and flies in a circle. And there's things like headless mode, which changes whether the controls work. I actually found headless mode to be a little bit counterintuitive for myself, but maybe that works better for you. Basically, headless mode makes it so that the joystick is always relative to you rather than relative to the drone. You can find other videos online that might explain that better. I prefer to leave it on the normal mode. But overall, I think this thing is relatively feature rich. It's relatively easy to fly, and at that price point, if it does get destroyed, it's not going to be the end of the world. Guys, big shout out to Holy Stone for sending this drone out to me to test. I'll drop links in the description. If they're Amazon links, they're affiliate links. In fact, the Holy Stone link may be a commission-based link as well. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work just yet. But just assume if you're buying it from a link below this video, that will help support the channel. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.